All right, brothers and sisters, I made a post about Jewish bankers' campaign contributions to Bush Jr. and President Obama. Um, and I made a short explanation of why they made these contributions, and they were based on bank bailouts. Okay, in which Obama bailed out the banks to the tune of $70 billion. I then had a couple of people then come and say, well, the bailouts wasn't done by Obama. They began, well, they began first under Bush, and that's incorrect. Okay, President Bush had nothing to do with bank bailouts. Here's how it goes. Okay, originally, Jewish banks targeted black homeowners within the United States on what's called subprime predatory loans, okay? Adjustable interest rate loans, all right? What you will hear in the song Good Times, an easy credit ripoff, basically. Wherever you see commercials or advertisements that go a little something like this. Do you have good credit, bad credit, no credit? No problem. Give us a call and we'll put you in a new car, or we'll help finance your home, and this, that, and the other. But then when you read the fine print, you'll see an interest rate usually at about 18% annual percentage or higher. Okay, anything that's 18% APR, which means this is a annual interest rate tax on the life each year over the life of the loan. Okay, so say for instance you buy a $10,000 car, okay, and you have a finance rate of 18%. Let's say, let's round it off, 20%. All right, and you're going to pay off the car over the life of 5 years. It's a 5-year loan at 20% annual percentage rate. Okay, when you're done paying that, okay, you're going to end up paying probably double of what the car is worth. So for instance, say, okay, 20% of $10,000, and that's annual percentage. Okay, so each year you're going to pay $2,000. $2,000 is 20% of $10,000. So that's $2,000 on top of the $10,000 principal that you're going to pay on interest, and you're going to pay that 5 years. Okay, so $2,000 times 5 years is another $10,000 on top of the original $10,000 principal that the car costs. So you're going to pay $20,000 for a $10,000 car. You understand that shit? Okay, now Obama was the first one 90 days into his 2008 presidency, okay, 90 days after the January inauguration, all right, he bailed out Jewish banks to the tune of $70 billion. It was in 2007 under the Bush administration in which the subprime predatory loans reached its peak, okay, it reached its peak, and you had the big banks such as Goldman Sachs was the big goddamn one that targeted black families. In fact, they eliminated 58% of black wealth because most black wealth is gotten through home ownership, and they were able to eliminate 58% of black wealth through these subprime predatory loans, and they did this shit in roughly 3 years, from like 2000, well, 2 years, 2005 through 2007 is which they did it. Goldman Sachs, along with its subsidiaries such as Wells Fargo, were the chief goddamn ones who received the bailout money, and they were the chief ones who gave Obama a big, huge contribution. Okay, if you look at Goldman Sachs's contribution to Bush, they gave him something like 200 something grand. They gave Obama like $1 million. You understand what I'm saying? All right. What the reason why they the bankers gave Bush large campaign contributions was because Bush signed in certain things in which deregulate and allowed Federal Reserve and these bankers to deregulate. Okay, the bankers were basically allowed to regulate themselves. Okay, it eliminated Congress and the Senate to regulate bank practices, or basically limited the power in which the federal government could regulate banks, and gave them the power to basically regulate themselves, all right? Along with the fact that he allowed banks to begin a practice called fractional reserve banking. And fractional reserve banking works like this. Based on your $1 deposit into a bank is allowed to jack up its assets $1,000 per dollar that's deposited. You understand that shit? So if you was to deposit if you was deposit $1,000,000, the bank could jack up their goddamn assets as to 1 billion. Okay, 1,000 times the original deposit. You understand that shit? This is why they made the contributions to Bush Jr. Okay, they didn't make the contribution to Bush Jr. because of him bailing them out on the subprime predatory loan and foreclosures. They made the contribution to him for deregulating federal, taking the federal government out of regulating banks, or limiting the federal government regulation of banks and allowing the banks to regulate themselves. Okay. And they also made the contribution due to allowing banks to practice a practice. It's a fraudulent practice. And that's why you basically deal with credit, pseudo money. Okay. That's why they're trying to eliminate paper currency and hard currency and just go into a credit system on computer screens and shit like that. All right, because they own all the real money, which is a precious resource, gold. Okay, and they've gotten all the goddamn gold, the metal, the copper, the silver, and all that type of shit, the diamonds, cobalt, titanium, and everything, because they did all kinds of land grabs. They bankrupt Africa through debt. They stopped basically stealing the land resources from Africa by gunpoint after roughly the apartheid in South Africa. Then they learned that they can bankrupt and do the same thing by way of debt, by loaning these goddamn countries large amounts of money in which they couldn't pay back the goddamn interest, let alone the principal. All right. And they did it through goddamn easy credit ripoff. Same way they do with goddamn cars, selling you used cars and shit like that. They did the shit on goddamn loans to motherfucking African countries, third world countries. And they did this. It's the same practice. It's the goddamn micro-pacifists versus the macro-pacifists. All right. Loaning the shit to countries is the motherfucking macro pacifist, is the same motherfucking game and con on a larger scale as as you going to a goddamn used car salesman and shit and getting a goddamn car at $10,000 and end up signing a goddamn contract on an easy credit ripoff 20% interest rate, which is called a balloon rate, you know what I mean, or a sucker's rate. All right, this brother Elihu ill. Peace.